Stop what you're doing and listen. Because when America collapses, and it will, it won't be slow. It'll be fast, violent, and unforgiving. The cops won't come. The 911 lines will be dead. And the people you used to wave at across the street, they'll be the first ones trying to break into your home when the shelves are empty and their kids are starving. Think it can't happen here? During Hurricane Katrina, the National Guard had to be deployed because looting got so bad. Local police abandoned entire districts. In 2020, over 15 major U.S. cities saw coordinated looting, and that was with society still intact. Now imagine those same crowds, but no power, no food stamps, no gas, no law. This is not fear-mongering. In 2022, the FBI reported over 1.7 million property crimes, and that's when the economy was still holding on. When the system breaks, that number explodes. And if you're not ready to defend your home from looters, thieves, and organized marauders, you will be a victim. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to turn your home into a place nobody wants to touch. We're talking tactics, weapons, defense layers, deception, traps, and the truth the mainstream won't tell you. So pay attention. This is survival now. Secure the roof, your most overlooked vulnerability. Most Americans think of home defense in two dimensions, doors and windows. But here's the truth no one talks about. Your roof is the third front in this war, and if you're ignoring it, you're inviting attackers in through your blind spot. In a real SHTF scenario where marauders aren't just desperate but tactically trained, think ex-military, former gang members, even corrupted security forces, they'll go high when you're defending low. Climbing onto a rooftop isn't hard. All it takes is a tree branch, a ladder left behind by a careless contractor, or even the neighbor's shed placed too close to the fence line. Once they're up there, it's game over. They can rip through cheap roofing tiles with a crowbar, exploit vents or skylights, and drop in from above like it's a scene from a Tom Clancy novel. And don't kid yourself, this has already happened during real disasters. After Hurricane Katrina, reports surfaced of looters gaining access to homes through the roof when doors were reinforced. So what do? First, clear the perimeter, cut back trees, move ladders inside, raise your sheds if necessary. Next, reinforce roof access points, secure your attic door from the inside, and bolt down any skylights. If you've got a chimney, cap it with steel mesh and lock it down. And here's a tip most people miss. Install motion sensors on your roofline. Yes, they make those. You want alerts not just for ground-level intrusion, but aerial ones. The roof is where organized groups attack when they think you're a serious target. Defend it like it's a wall, because in the end, when they come from above, they're not just after supplies, they're after control. And you cannot let them take that from you. Build a safe room because the fight might come inside. All right, let's stop pretending you'll win every fight at the front door. When everything collapses and the rule of law disappears, even the best fortifications can fail. That's why every serious American prepper needs a safe room, not a luxury panic room for millionaires, but a practical, secure fallback zone where you can survive the worst-case breach. And I'm not talking drywall and a deadbolt. I mean a real hardened space, reinforced walls, a solid steel door with internal locking bars, and zero visibility from the outside. Ideally, this room has no windows and only one entry. You're not building a prison. You're building a lifeboat for your family when the storm gets inside the boat. Stock it like a miniature bunker. Weeks of water, freeze-dried food, medical supplies, communications, radio plus spare batteries, and enough firepower to hold off anyone who gets in. You need battery-powered lights, a solar charger, and, this is critical, a backup method of air circulation. If you're hiding in a sealed room for 48 hours while a gang combs your house, that air goes bad quick. Ever hear of the home invasions in Argentina during their 2001 economic collapse? Families were slaughtered in their own homes by roving gangs posing as utility workers. The ones who lived, they had hidden rooms and silent alarms. Now imagine that, but nationwide. When SHTF, America will be 1,000 Argentinas at once. A properly concealed safe room can buy you the time you need. Time for the marauders to leave. Time for reinforcements to arrive. Or time for your escape plan to unfold. Don't let Hollywood convince you this is some billionaire gimmick. In a lawless collapse, the only law is survival, and your safe room is the courthouse. Build it before it's too late. Booby trap the approach, make your property bite back. Let me ask you something. What happens if a group of looters gets past your gate, your fence, and your front door camera? Are they just waltzing up to your house like it's Walmart on Black Friday? Or do they get the shock of their lives for choosing the wrong American homestead? That's where booby traps and tactical deterrence come in. Now, I'm not talking about illegal man-traps. You need to follow the law if you're prepping pre-collapse, but once society breaks down, that's a different ballgame entirely. And if you're not thinking about how to make your property hurt an intruder before they even reach the porch, you're already behind. Let's break it down. Start with natural deterrence. Thorn bushes under windows, cactus barriers, blackberry brambles woven into fences, anything that'll tear up someone's legs when they try to sneak in. Next, noise traps. Tripwires attached to tin cans or glass bottles make enough racket to alert you and scare the less committed away. But here's where it gets serious. In a full-on SHTF collapse, you should be using light-triggered alarms, flashbang simulators, legal ones pre-collapse, improvised ones after, and chemical deterrents like wasp spray cans set on tripwire rigs. You want to overload their senses. Noise, light, confusion. It's not about killing them. It's about stopping them cold and giving you time to react. And here's a real sleeper tactic. Pressure plate audio triggers. You step on the porch, boom. A speaker under the floorboard blasts a shotgun rack sound or an angry voice yelling freeze. Instant panic. Most looters aren't soldiers, they're opportunists. And if your property looks like it's designed to mess them up, they're heading to your neighbors instead. Now, you need to train your family on every trap. No friendly fire. But once they're live, your yard becomes a nightmare for anyone who thinks you're just another victim. This is war, and war is won before the enemy even sees you. Make your land fight for you. Booby trap it smart, and let the land scream before you ever pull a trigger. Start treating your house like a system, not a building. Layered detection wins before the door gets touched. Here's what most Americans get wrong about home defense in a collapse. They imagine the fight starts at the front door. No. If you're doing it right, the fight starts out at the sidewalk, then the curb, then the yard, then the porch, layer by layer, because the goal is to detect, deter, and delay so early that you never have to roll the dice inside your hallway. This is where layered detection turns your home from a target into a problem. Step 1 is outer ring awareness. Motion lighting that's angled low, not blinding you in windows, driveway alerts, and battery-backed sensors that still work when grid power goes down. And don't cheap out with one camera by the door like you're filming a raccoon channel. You want overlapping fields of view, front corners, side gate, backyard entry points, because organized thieves don't walk straight up like they're delivering pizza. They approach from angles, shadows, and cover. Step 2 is alarm prioritization. In a true SHTF scenario, you don't want a siren screaming for 10 minutes and broadcasting, "Hey, I have something worth stealing." You want silent alerts to you, vibration, chime, radio ping, so you can observe before you reveal yourself. Step 3 is delay infrastructure. Thorny landscaping under windows, locked side gates, anti-lift door hardware, window security film. Stuff that forces hands, time, and noise. People underestimate noise. Noise is oxygen for risk. The longer someone has to struggle, the more likely they bail. And here's a nasty little truth. Police response is not a magic shield even right now at this moment. Some major cities have openly discussed reducing responses to certain low-priority calls to free up resources. During large-scale emergencies, it gets worse, not better. Houston's own reporting has shown how response times can vary by priority and circumstance, so your system assumes you are the response. Finally, build one brain for your home. A printed map of your property with zones, sensors, and a simple checklist. Observe, confirm, announce, fall back. Because the moment you're improvising, you're losing. And in a collapse, the losers don't get refunds. Lock down information, like it's gold, because in America, your biggest threat might be someone who knows you. Let's talk about the part nobody wants to admit. In a breakdown, the threat is not always random marauders. Sometimes it's the guy who waved at you for 5 years and secretly clocked how often your Amazon boxes showed up, how your garage is always organized, and how your kids look well-fed even when everyone else is thinning out. In an American collapse scenario, information becomes currency, and you need to treat your household like a low-signature operation. That means you stop advertising stability. No visible generator running every night like a lighthouse. No bright windows. No constant cooking smells blowing into the street. And here's the uncomfortable reality. After disasters, the public often hears wild narratives about looting. But reporting has shown that the looting myth can spread fast and distort what's actually happening. Yet either way, fear travels farther than facts, and fear is enough to trigger opportunists. So your job is to keep your home out of conversations. Use blackout curtains. Use dim, warm interior lighting at night. Nothing that silhouettes movement. If you run power, do it surgically. Short charging windows. Daytime use when ambient noise covers you. And don't just hide supplies. Hide signals. The best preppers don't look like preppers. They look boring, normal, maybe even like they're struggling. Because in a collapse, looking fine is like painting a bullseye on your pantry. Next, social OPSEC. You don't announce what you have, not to coworkers, not to neighbors, not to extended family that likes to talk. People don't turn dangerous because they're evil. They turn dangerous because their kids are hungry. You also tighten your digital footprint. Stop posting vacation plans. Stop filming your stocked shelves. Stop showing your water wall on social media like it's a flex. Finally, you build quiet relationships without broadcasting strength. A couple trusted households. Basic check-ins, simple radio comms. A plan for watching each other's streets. Not a militia vibe. More like, we see each other. We report anomalies. We don't gossip. In America, collapse doesn't always show up as tanks and smoke. Sometimes it shows up as rumors, envy, and the realization that someone remembered you had extra. Control fire, smoke, and darkness because the fastest way to lose your fortress is a match you didn't see coming. If you want the most shocking, ugly truth about defending a home when society fractures, it's this. You can fortify doors all day and still lose everything to a cheap fire. Fire is the attacker's shortcut. It forces movement. It creates panic. It blinds you with smoke. It turns your stronghold into a trap if you don't plan for it. And in a SHTF scenario where firefighters may be overwhelmed or not coming at all, you cannot afford to treat fire safety like a normal Tuesday. FEMA's disaster guidance emphasizes that returning home after a disaster can involve structural hazards and dangerous conditions, exactly the kind of chaos where a small ignition becomes a disaster. So here's what you do. First, harden against ignition. Clear brush, create defensible space. Keep combustibles away from exterior walls. Store fuel outside and far. Use metal trash cans with lids for ash disposal. Second, build a smoke discipline plan. Smoke alarms with long-life batteries, plus extra battery smoke detectors staged for backup. In a collapse, the simple things, dead batteries, missing replacement alarms, become lethal. Third, create a darkness plan. Darkness isn't just inconvenience. Darkness is where accidents happen. Candles tip, lanterns spill. Kids knock stuff over. Standardize your lighting. Headlamps for everyone. Rechargeable lanterns, glow markers for exits. And a rule that open flame is last resort only. Fourth, your home defense plan must include ventilation control and fallback routes. If you can't breathe, you can't fight. Know how to shut internal doors to slow smoke spread. Stage N95 masks or smoke hoods if you can. Have a dedicated extinguisher on every floor, kitchen, garage, hallway, because you don't have time to sprint through smoke to find the one under the sink. And here's the tactical angle most people never consider. If someone starts a fire outside to flush you out, you need options that don't involve stumbling into the open like a target. That means you pre-identify safe exits, you keep a tool to clear a jammed door, and you maintain a low-profile way to observe outside without exposing your body. Fire is not separate from security. Fire is part of security. In an American collapse, the house that survives is not just the house with locks. It's the house that can't be forced to evacuate by heat and terror. Fortify the garage and vehicles, because in a collapse, your car becomes your second pantry, and your garage becomes the weakest wall. Listen carefully. Most American homes have one area that is basically a welcome mat for intruders. And it's not the front door. It's the garage. The garage door is huge, thin, and often designed for convenience, not defense. And attached garages have a nasty feature. Once someone gets inside, they're not outside your home anymore. They're one interior door. away from your living space, your family, your supplies. That's why in a SHTF scenario defending the garage is not optional. It's the difference between they tried and they're inside. Start with the door itself. Reinforce the garage door track. Use a manual lock that physically blocks the door from lifting, and add a security bar or brace system. Then treat the house door from garage to interior like a front door. Solid core, long screws and hinges, strike plate, heavy deadbolt, door jamb reinforcement. Now the part most people don't expect. Vehicles become resource magnets. In collapse conditions, people don't just steal cars to joyride. They steal cars because cars mean mobility, escape, heat, charging, storage, and trade. A vehicle is a rolling advantage, so you stop leaving tools, fuel, generators, or visible gear in vehicles. You stop leaving the garage looking like a hardware store with free weapons leaning on the wall. Next, control sound and routine. The moment your neighbors hear a power tool at night or see headlights moving in and out, you're advertising activity. So vehicle use becomes deliberate and boring. Daytime movement if possible. Minimal idling. No loud projects after dark. Also, stage your keys and documents like you're living in a high theft zone, because you are. And here's a critical detail. Garages are where many households store propane, gasoline, paint thinner, meaning an intruder in your garage is potentially next to your most dangerous materials. So you lock flammables in a secured cabinet, you keep a fire extinguisher right at the garage entry, and you ensure there's no easy smash-and-grab path from driveway to your interior door. If you do nothing else, do this. Make your garage look like it contains nothing worth the risk, because opportunists hunt for quick wins. And in a SHTF America, the garage is where quick wins happen, unless you turn it into a dead end. Turn your street into a soft fortress, because a lone house is easy, but a coordinated block is a nightmare. Let me say this plain for every American watching. In a real SHTF breakdown, the most dangerous fantasy is thinking you're going to solo a prolonged threat pattern from multiple people over multiple nights. That's Hollywood. Reality is uglier and more routine. Pressure, probing, and repeat visits. Property crime and burglary are opportunistic by nature. And the data we do have shows how common property crime is in normal times, which should tell you what happens when normal times die. The Bureau of Justice Statistics tracks property crime, including burglary, trespassing, and motor vehicle theft, through the National Crime Victimization Survey. And the FBI compiles national offense data through its Crime in the Nation UCR reporting. In a collapse, the question isn't, will someone try? It's, how many, how often, and how organized. So here's the move most people don't think about. You stop defending a house and start defending a micro-neighborhood. Quietly, intelligently, without broadcasting it like a weekend militia cosplay. It begins with alignment, not loud meetings. 2 or 3 trusted households who share the same red lines, the same schedule discipline, and the same logic. We don't look for trouble, but we don't look soft. Then you build a simple system, shared observation positions, windows that can see intersections, a rotating eyes-on schedule, and a low-tech communication plan that survives outages. Cheap radios, agreed call signs, and code words that don't sound like code words. And I'm telling you right now, the biggest advantage is not force. It's early warning and mutual visibility. Marauders love darkness, confusion, and isolation. They hate neighborhoods where movement is noticed, where multiple houses can signal each other, where a prowler can't tell if he's being watched by 1 family or 5. Add small, psychologically powerful signals. Consistent porch numbering visible at night so neighbors can report location fast. Shared quiet hours so any unusual noise is instantly suspicious. And a plan for non-confrontational denial. Nobody opening doors to maintenance crews. No one giving information. No one being nice, under pressure. FEMA's own shelter-in-place planning guidance emphasizes the importance of protective action planning. What you'll do and where you'll go when movement isn't safe. That's exactly what you're building on your block. A protective action plan that turns your street into a place predators skip, because it's too noisy, too watched, and too uncertain. 2. Create a control script for contact, because most home takeovers start with a conversation you didn't prepare for. Here's the part that shocks people. In a collapse, a lot of home invasions won't start with a kick to the door. They'll start with a knock, a sob story, a fake emergency, or a "we're checking on residents" routine that exploits your empathy and your confusion. That's why you need a contact protocol like a professional. Something you can execute half asleep under stress, with kids crying in the background. Think of it as your household's rules of engagement, except it's not about violence. It's about control, distance, and information denial. Step 1 is distance. You do not have face-to-face conversations on the threshold. You set up a talk position inside, behind a locked door, through a camera, or through a barrier that keeps space between you and the person outside. Step 2 is consistency. Every family member uses the same phrases, the same policy, the same refusal style. You don't negotiate. You don't explain your resources. You do not argue. You repeat, "We can't help. Move on." Hard, boring, final. Because predators feed on hesitation and openings. Step 3 is time. You never open the door just for a second. Because once the door opens, you've created an invitation for a shove, a rush, or a weapon reveal. Step 4 is credibility traps. If someone claims to be official, you don't debate. You verify without opening. In normal times, you'd call the department. In SHTF, you use your neighborhood network to confirm if anyone else has seen the same crew. And here's the detail most people miss. During stressed public safety periods, resources can be redirected away from traditional crime response. Reuters reporting in 2025 described how federal law enforcement activity in San Francisco was reduced as agents were redirected, illustrating how priorities can shift even without an apocalyptic collapse. That's why you can't build your security plan around someone will show up fast. You build it around what you can control. Doors staying shut, information staying inside, and a calm script that keeps you from getting psychologically hijacked. Finally, practice it. Once a week, run a 60-second drill. Someone knocks, you move to your talk position. You run the script. You do not deviate. The point is mechanical calm. When you're stressed, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. And in a collapse, that preparation is the difference between they left and they entered. Normalize siege living, water, waste, heat, and health, because the real threat is being forced outside. Number 1 is the one nobody wants to hear because it's not sexy and it doesn't sound like an action movie. The best home defense is the ability to stay inside without collapsing from your own needs. In a true SHTF scenario, the most dangerous moment is not the first night of chaos. It's day 7, day 14, day 30, when people realize the system isn't coming back and the desperate start hunting stability. If your house can't handle water, sanitation, heat, and basic health quietly, you'll be forced to expose yourself. Going outside for water, dumping waste, searching for fuel, visiting a clinic, broadcasting vulnerability like a flare. That's why siege living is the real fortress. Start with water. You need a rotation plan, not just storage, a way to purify and a way to carry water without being seen as the one who still has it. Then waste. If municipal sewage fails, your household sanitation becomes a security issue because sickness disables defenders faster than any intruder. Set up a discreet odor-controlled system so you're not advertising your presence. Then heat and cooling. Keep your indoor temperature survivable without revealing yourself with constant noise and light. And health. You build the boring medical stack. Bandaging, fever control, hydration, hygiene. Because illness creates noise, movement, and mistakes. FEMA's shelter-in-place and planning guidance exists for a reason. Sometimes the safest decision is to not move and to have a plan for sustaining life where you are. Now pair that with realism about response. Even today, response times and priorities vary by call type and capacity. And during crises, systems overload. When you can't rely on rapid outside help, your best security technology is endurance, being able to wait out the wave. The final piece is mental. Siege living means routines, quiet hours, watch rotation, hydration schedule, hygiene schedule. Because chaos inside your home becomes weakness outside your home. And when looters and marauders are selecting targets, they're not just looking for supplies, they're looking for movement, light, noise, and signs of strain. So you become the opposite. Calm, quiet, disciplined, boring. The most shocking truth in American collapse survival is this. The winner isn't the loudest house on the block. It's the house nobody can read, nobody can rush, and nobody can outwait.